fair play and decency compels us to believe that the district attorney had to stand by the decision that was made by a predecessor in the office not to charge. So that's the reasoning of the court. The outcome, Lester, is that he cannot be tried again on these charges. That means that the woman at the center of this case, she can't be the subject of another criminal prosecution. This one is over. Now, that doesn't mean that other victims could come forward and the state could investigate and decide whether or not to pursue criminal charges based on entirely different facts, but there can't be a retrial on this case.
We know that there were other women who testified of what they thought was similar behavior against them. There's a statute of limitations issue. Would that prevent some of these cases from going forward?
Potentially, and the court doesn't explicitly says here that they're not making any decision about any other potential case or any of the testimony that was offered in the civil trial. They simply say that issue isn't before us and we're not going to answer it.
Pete Williams, thanks very much. And Kate Snow has been covering this from the beginning. She has been in touch with some of Cosby's accusers today. From what you told us earlier, it sounds like there is widespread disappointment in this outcome.
Yeah, I would say disbelief as well. And I want to start, Lester, by telling you that I just got off the phone with one of the attorneys for Andrea Constant, the chief accuser in that case, in that second trial. Her name is Dolores Troiani. On the record, the only thing she would say is that they are reviewing this decision and they'll have no comment or no interviews at this time. But most of those that I've been hearing from throughout the last couple of hours are accusers who I've been in touch with for years now, who really thought this conviction was a sealed deal. It was a victory that would hold forever. And you see pictures there of the more than 20 women that I interviewed years ago for a Dateline special. Those are all women who made various different allegations against Bill Cosby. So some of them I'm reaching back to today, and they're saying things like, oh my God, what is happening? I can't process this. They are stunned by this legal decision. The women themselves weren't expecting the appeal to go anywhere. They understood that there was an appeal being made, but those women, not being lawyers, thought that it wouldn't lead to any kind of overturning of this conviction. I can read you a couple of comments that I've gotten. One from Eden Turrell. She's one of the accusers of Bill Cosby. She says to me, I'm just finding it here. From the beginning, the rigid constructs of the statute of limitations did not provide protection or a pathway of justice for the women that came out against Cosby. The outdated laws are clearly in place, protecting men in these cases more often than not. This is the story of the Me Too movement that must be included in the narrative now. That's Eden Turrell. Now, just to give you a sense of why she says that, I mean, you just touched on this with Pete Williams. Many of the women who came forward we're talking about events that happened 20, 30 years ago, and by statute could no longer bring a criminal case or sometimes even a civil suit against Bill Cosby. So, as Pete just said, many of those who've made accusations aren't probably going to have a legal recourse. I'd be interested to know what the situation is in California now, because many of the statutes have changed, and in California they now, as I understand it, don't have the same statute of limitations that they had prior to the Me Too movement. So maybe that's a question for Danny Savalos. But what I can tell you is, again, I'm getting a lot of comments of, I'm sick to my stomach, I don't know how to process this. Having talked to these women for years, Lester, they say they went through traumatic events with Bill Cosby. They made allegations of everything from rape to sexual assault to harassment. They will now say that today is yet another traumatic event for them, seeing this reversed.
Kate, thank you. Let me go to